Ooh, ooh, ooh. Ladies, gentlemen, gamers, and fellow League of Legends lovers and haters, welcome back to another Patch Notes review episode. The series that I've been doing for far too long on a game I've played, at least recently, far too little. So, as I think similar to last time I did something similar where I wasn't playing League 2 too much because I was busy with job, with life, with other games, where I might not have a good grasp, but hopefully this is just a break and we will get back into the swing of things, hopefully eventually, when I get less busy. But who knows? At some point, I think there will come a day where I stop doing these and just stop playing League, because everything comes to an end. But I don't think that end is yet, but hopefully we can go quickly through this, because I have some business to attend to soon. But I wanted to get this out as quick as possible and to give my oh-so-wanted opinion. So here we go. I have my nachos with me as well, because I haven't eaten anything yet today, and I hope to be pleasantly surprised. But ultimately, we'll see, because the main things I end up playing now is not Summoner's Rift, although I have played Quick Play. And that's because I've played it because the new April Fool's, well, not so new, but the April Fool's missions required me to play these things, so I want to do it quickly. Ranked is pretty much like, you know, we really don't fuck with Ranked no more, at least for right now, because it's so painful. But I mostly play Arena, which I really do like because it's so quick, it's so short, and there's roguelike elements in it. Excuse me. And the other thing I play with roguelike elements in it is TFT, which sadly doesn't really give too much patch progress, but it is what it is. But either way, I still do relatively care about the meta. We'll see for how long, so let's take a look at what they're doing. Let's see if this is a crazy, wild, kooky patch, or if it's just another bullshit. So, and we'll also see the skins, because I'm very much on the loop. Part of that I always attribute to losing Surrender at 20. Rest in peace. Here comes patch 25.08 to bring us some balance changes across all currently active queues. This is also the last patch of the current ranked season. Make sure to get your 15 wins to lock in. Oh, and they actually revealed who it is. I didn't even know this. Victorious Twisted Fate. IMO, the Victorious skins kind of suck. I think they've gotten better over time because they used to be horrible. Now they actually, I think, have some effects on them. But I still think they're not that good. And why would they be that good? You're easily able to get them. So Riot isn't incentivized to make them good. And after all the controversy they've been through recently, with the skin quality, with the Mord skin, with all the gacha stuff coming in, they really are not incentivized at all to give these things and make them good. Now, this is where I say, and I thought they did this in the past, and they still do kind of do this, because they did give us back chests in my opinion, the best way they ever could, the best iteration it's been. But this is where I think there should be certain, like, thank you notes, or, like, love letters, I call them, to the community, where it's like, okay, even if this doesn't give you profit, not everything needs to be for profit, you could just have a special thank you to the fans that we actually want, similar to the free skins that you give. Like that anniversary Annie one. That was a pretty good skin. But regardless, let's keep going. I haven't even seen the skin yet, but I'm assuming it's not going to be that good. This patch sees improvements to some items that have fallen out of the spotlight, like Crypt Bloom, which I always thought was kind of ass, Opportunity, and Overlord's Bloodmail, which aside from, like, someone, I guess, like, Set, who the fuck would build that shit? Excuse me. As well as Mel, who's the newest champion, and Zoe, who's not so new, coming back into the meta after being out of it for a while. And Mel has been out of the meta because, man, she got knocked down really quickly when she released. She's not even that old. So the fact that she's out of the meta means they really went hard on her, which is sad. But either way, we're also shipping some larger work to Annie, ironically enough, because I mentioned her free skin, Anniversary, to make her a bit more satisfying by moving damage out of Tibbers' sustained damage, which a lot of people had, I guess, trouble micromanaging. That could be hard to feel, and into her spell cast, so they're basically front-loading Annie, which is always good for almost everyone, I think. For Ahri and Syndra, we feel like their builds are a little off. Ahri is building more tanky because she really can't burst people down unless it's the AD, but everyone could do that. And Syndra is able to opt too easily into lower damage purchases and still be very effective. So they're tweaking her a little, aka nerfing her. Other changes include follow-up balance champions like Gwen and Yorick. So Gwen and Yorick, ironically enough, are one of my two favorite champions. Obviously not ADs, but still close to my heart. Yorick because I love the split pushing, Gwen because she scales like a truck, although they did reduce that. And I don't think it landed well because I think they had to rebuff her. But let's take a look. Let's see what's new in this patch. Why don't we? Ooh, very nice art they have here. And also, I think I see Victoria's Twisted Fate there. I don't know what other skins are coming. Again, I'm very, very much out of the loop, but I see Sanu's all moored, which I guess we'll talk about at the end. But either way, let's keep going. What are the skins called? They're called Fate Breaker. Interesting. And then we have a new Nexus finisher, too. Wow. I was going to say more gacha stuff, but no, more monetization, which, again, I'm fine with this because at this point, someone else is going to buy it, and I'm going to see it in my game, which is fine. And I always questioned, if you have people with multiple Nexus finishers, what the fuck happens? I don't really know. But I think the price on this thing is ludicrous for something you only see for 5 seconds at the end. But this is where, and I think there's a good argument now, and I kind of see this growing up. Kids probably really want this shit, because when I was a kid, I lived and breathed League of Legends. Now that I'm an adult, and I have other adult things, I don't care as much. Maybe I grew out of it, maybe I just got smart, who knows. But one of the big indications of this is my loot pool. And thankfully they put crafting first. They didn't shove the gacha in your face, which they used to do. But look at all my loot. This used to, like, get me randy. This used to give me a hard-on. Now I'm just like, whatever, I don't care. If I get a skin for someone, I do. If I don't, I don't. It is what it is. But basically, I think they're going to get a lot of people with this, especially on the younger side. Even though, like I said, it's like 5 seconds at the end of the game, and someone else might very well have it, so you're good. It probably is if you buy it and if you equip it, you're going to see yours, but who really knows? Anyway, ranked is ending, so take note of that, thankfully. And this is where I think they kind of devalued the Twisted Fate skin, but I guess we'll talk more about it at the end, but now I feel like everyone could get that shit. Hopefully I remember to talk about that at the end, though. But yeah, complete your 15 games, and you can get Victorious Twisted Fate. Yes, you! Even if you're an iron. So either way, Ahri, they're making changes to Ahri. So she's building more tankier, aka Roa and Liandry's. They want her to be in high AP burst, even though she can't really do too much burst. So they're lowering her tank. Her W damage is now going up in scaling, so they incentivize her to build damage. And the base damage is getting... Wait a minute. Oh, they're nerfing this shit. What the hell? Oh, so she's too effective by building semi-tanky. Oh. This doesn't make sense, though. I mean, they are raising the AP ratio, but damn. Wow. And the cooldown's going up. Ooh. And what are they doing to the charm? They're raising the AP ratio by a lot. Well, not by a lot, by 10%. Okay, not bad. Ahri, again, is going to get more incentivized to build AP. Again, I haven't played League in a hot minute, so I don't know if she's really that much of an issue, but I'll assume she is. Annie. Oh my god, look at that big paragraph. For a while now, too much of Annie's power budget has been in Tib, especially his ability to passively stand next to enemies and burn them, aka having sunfires. Which I think that's an item where I don't know if it's good or not, because you really can't tell how much it's doing in the fight. But when you look at the numbers, sometimes they're decently high, so it really depends. Well, this sort of playstyle exists to some degree, wanted to shift the power back to Annie herself, so basically getting a buff. I wonder why, too. Maybe because she's related to all the story stuff. Maybe she's related to, like, Noxus, the Black Rose, and shit. Who knows? Or maybe they just like Annie. I don't know. We're adding a new passive to her that grants Annie % magic pen that affects all her damage? What? Oh, but they say a really important thing here. We want Annie to still be able to play the game when Flash is on cooldown. Because the main thing Annie does is Flash R, start the fight, and hopefully burst someone. After that, it's like, whatever. But wow. And also, just for context, just to show how old I am, Annie used to have more range than Caitlyn, by the way. A little girl could throw fire than a sniper could shoot, at least back in the day. So health growth is going down because they have to take away strength from somewhere. Her Q is going up by 5%, and she uses this often, and it's a pretty low cooldown. Her W is going up by 20 base, and then cooldown's going down, not bad. And now Tibbers. So she gets percentage magic pen. I'm assuming that's passive, so that's always on, which is crazy. That's pretty good. Flame Aura is getting reduced massively, which I don't think is too much of an issue. And his auto attack damage is going down as well, which is perfectly fine. Honestly, I think Annie's going to be a lot better from this. How much better? I don't know. I barely see Annie's, but I forgot what the name of the guy was. Oh, Anniebot. I'm sure Anniebot is very proud of it. Or, not proud, but happy about this. But anyway, Annie is definitely better. Next, we have Blitzcrank. So the biggest thing I think with Blitz that they need to change, and this has been like a big pain point forever, and people are not wrong when they say all these kits are overloaded, but for some reason they smack down Blitzcrank. And how did they do this? His W. Blitz's W used to be a free movement speed steroid that you would get and you would just use. Now they make it so if you use it, you run fast and then you go slow like you're all cummed out, which I think makes playing him feel like shit, especially when he just does really one thing. Unless you're going some AP or crit nonsense, which isn't completely unviable, but still. This is where I really just wish they would return that. I think Blitz still has problems, but he's meant to be a straightforward champion. So I don't think, number one, we need those, and number two, that's not bad. But I'm sure Blitz is not doing good because everyone else does like 5 billion things, and he just does like 1 to 2. So let's see. Blitzcrank is sad. Lower win rate, pick rate, ban rate, blah, blah, blah. We're buffing up his hook damage, which I don't think is an issue, but giving them a bit more durability in his pass to make up buying more mana more attractive. Okay, so they're not really addressing the main issue. They're sort of, they're providing a different solution for, I think, the main pain point, but the shield is scaling better off mana. Whoopee, the Q damage is literally 5 higher early, but later on it's 25. This is really not much. Because you actually have to land the damn thing. Which, what would help with that? W not feeling like shit. But this is whatever, Blitz buff. This is ass. Brand, I don't know whether they want this guy in the jungle, in mid, or support. I don't want him in support, although I love playing him support. Which at that point, I'm part of the problem I always chastise. But this is where Brand, I think... I don't know, I feel like they just keep nerfing him. Let's see. We buffed the damage cap per tick last patch, but didn't quite see the win rate movement we were shooting for Brand jungle. Why they want him jungle? Who the fuck knows? I think Brand is a horrible jungler. But they're buffing it even more, so it's slightly better. Gwendolyn! So again, for those of you out of the loop, or if you didn't see the past patch note reviews I did, I'm trying to think what happened. So they nerfed Gwen's late game to give more power into her early game, similar to Kale. I don't think it landed well, or maybe it landed too well. This is the part I don't remember. I don't remember if they had to buff it or nerf it, but they did something to it after it landed. But let's see. Gwen's new power curve has added a lot of agency to her early game, but she's still a little too high power for her current shape. No! So they're nerfing her. Wow. So her early game on-hit E damage, which hopefully she's not maxing, because she used to max this, is lesser. This is fine. Over time it hurts, but I think this is okay. Just don't touch her passive anymore, please. Hui. Hui, I always say this, Hui's good. Hui's really good if you're really good at him, but the amount of difficulty it takes to be a good Hui, you have to like Xerath, but like be on roids. I really feel like Hui is Xerath, but way harder. And you could do a lot, but for most people, you could just play something like Annie and just press one button and kill someone. Where for Hui, you have to learn all these like combos. It's not as bad as Aphelios, I think, because you have a lot more agency. With Aphelios, you're kind of at the mercy of whatever guns you have at the time. But Hui is just really for like the pro players and stuff like that, and really good players. So let's see what he's doing. Hui could use a bit of a touch-up relative to the rest of the mage roster. His early game is strong and in a good spot. His late game leaves a bit to be desired. Wow, I thought his late game was actually really good. So what are they doing? His passive, which if he hits someone twice this procs, this is going up by a good bit. Holy shit. 180 to 230 is pretty good. What is that? 90, 100, 120, 120, that's 50 damage. It's not bad. And then the R, Spiraling Despair, it's going up by another 50. That's pretty good. Considering you're going to proc the passive a lot, hopefully, especially if you land the ult, that's a good bit of extra damage. That's like, what, 100 extra damage? Which doesn't sound like a lot, but, you know. And after defenses and everything, it shouldn't be. But, you know, you could proc this a decent amount. This is pretty good. Lulu. So, like I always say, Lulu is, in my opinion, one of the best supports in the game. One of the most skill cap supports in the game. She can almost do everything if you're good at her. But it looks like she's a little too good. And she got a bug fix on her Q, but that was, I guess, too much. So, they're reducing her health. Nothing crazy. Cool. Alright, Mel. Let's see. So, Mel came out, and she was really fucking good. And I think she was fun as shit, too. But she was also broken. I will not lie, that W was extremely, extremely frustrating. If they're going to nerf anything, I feel like they should nerf the W. But this is where they nerfed, I think, almost everything about her, except maybe the ultimate, but I don't remember. But this is where I think the biggest thing was her W did so much more than something like Samira's W, and I always mention this part. It did so much more than Samira's W, but lasted longer. So Samira's W actively does less. It doesn't reflect. It does have AoE blocking capabilities, which so does this, but not as much AoE, granted. But this is where Samira's was arguably, not even arguably, definitively worse, but hers only lasted 0.75 seconds. Mel's lasted a whole second. And then they brought it in line like I thought they would. But Mel basically got nerfed a lot, and she really does feel weak. And when I played her, I was like, okay, if I'm not doing damage, I'm basically doing nothing, and you kind of sometimes need long, extended fights. This is where there's a little bit of a, I think, counterbalance in her kit. You want to burst them, but also her kit, especially her passive, really rewards long-term, drawn-out battles where you could keep just poking them. Because if you don't poke them, if you don't get them low, your passive is essentially useless, aside from stacking your ult. So Mel has a little bit of a dichotomy going on, I think. Now, I think they nerfed it enough to where now she's literally forced to do damage over time. She can't burst you, unless you're an AD. But that is not that good, and she's new, so I think she needs to get buffed. I actually hope she's good. So her health is going up, and her passive stacks are going up at almost all levels. Wow. Okay, this isn't too much, and they're cautious to bring her power back up, but if there's any place that I think would feel good, it is the passive. I think the passive is one of the coolest parts of her kit, aside from the W. And the ult is kind of related to the passive anyway. Pretty cool. Renekton. Renekton has sucked ass. And even in pro play, he's sucked ass. So they're buffing his R. And it's doing... And remember, this is flat damage, so the exact opposite to Nasus, who does percent health. He's doing a lot more front-loaded damage, I think, especially early, but they're buffing his late game, so they want Renekton to be relevant late game. And this is kind of what I think happened to Pantheon too, ironically enough. I feel like Pantheon was only good early to mid-game, and then he fell off. But now, after I played him in ARAM one time, I was like, wait a minute. And after I saw some Pantheons too, I was like, wait a minute. This guy's actually, like, scales. He's not, like, a giga carry, but he actually does some good-ass shit later on. And I think they're trying to do the same to Renekton. I don't know how I feel about that. I always feel like there should be some champions that are for early game, but overall, I think in general, League has been pushing, because this is where Swift play comes in too. But overall, regular Rift, not Swift play, has been pushing to more just kind of slowly, low-key extending games and just overall making them last longer. I have no proof of that. I have no statistics. This is purely anecdotal and theoretical, but I do believe it's true with just the general direction of how they've been patching things, how they've been changing things, and just the scaling of things as well. Very ambiguous, I know, but just trust me on this. I'm a doctor. But yeah, Renekton's slightly better, not bad. And you gotta remember, I believe this is damage per second. So that'll definitely add up. Shen! So Shen, the main thing I remember with Shen is the Shen mains got really, really upset that he kept getting, like, nerfed either directly or indirectly, and they got to a point where they were like, we're gonna riot, no pun intended, we're gonna riot, we're gonna fucking not play Shen, fuck them. And it's like, I don't really think it's gonna change something, but that was a while back. I don't know if Shen got fixed or not, but at least they're buffing him now. So what are they doing? They're increasing his slow, which is cool, by an okay amount. And then the cooldown of W, one of his pretty good moves, is getting lowered by 2. Shen is a little bit better from this. Very, I might even say this is like a middle of the pack buff. It's not negligible, it's not crazy, but it's definitely good. Singed. I don't know why they're touching Singed, but they're buffing his passive. So, they really want people to play Singed. I don't know why. But this is going to be, I guess, a little bit better. I think this will actually help out. It's not like, again, like the Shen change. I don't think it doesn't matter. And I think it will help in a decent amount more scenarios. So this is pretty cool. Sona, even though it's really just as passive, but move speed is a low-key underrated stat. Anyway, Sona, I hate this bitch. This bitch is like paper, so she better be doing a lot, and she does scale very well. Now, at that point, why not just play Seraphine IMO? But it is what it is. I feel like in so many ways, Seraphine just power crept Sona. But this is where I think Sona, for the amount of value she gives versus how hard it is to play her, there's literally a Hums clip. And for those of you not familiar, Hums is a ADC main, I believe. He's a Draven player, no less, too. He's an ADC man, and whenever he sees Sona, he just crashes out, and it's hilarious, but I don't blame him. So what are they doing? Are they buffing her tankiness? Are they making her scale harder? Let's see. We're giving Sona some easy access to baseline functionality to give her some power. Her Q is getting buffed by 20. I mean, honestly, with how much this hits and, you know, how much she is supposed to be a poke champion, I think this is decent. I wouldn't say middle of the pack. I wouldn't say, you know, like good. But it's okay. It's not terrible. It's not the worst. It's okay. Not bad. All right, Syndra. So what are they doing? They want to adjust her incentives to make her more of a burst mage and less of a high uptime full mobility kiter. So this is basically the Zeri problem they're running into. Syndra is kiting and I guess CCing too much. Not that Zeri did that, but still. This is where they're trying to just transfer away, I don't want to say mobility, but they might touch cooldowns here. I don't know what they're going to touch, but let's see. In order to make burst builds more competitive to high haste ones. Let's see. So her slow is getting giga nerfed. Wow, 45 to 25. The E damage is going down. Interesting, but the scaling is going up. Okay, well, that's how they're doing it. And then the R scaling is going up, and the base damage is going down. So yeah, you have to build more AP to do the same thing as before. She's basically the same, but worse. If you're gonna have to build more AP, you're not gonna be as tanky. So you're gonna die. You have to be more careful, which a lot of players are gonna struggle with. So yeah, she's a little nerfed. Tristana! What is Tristana doing? Apparently, she's really good, which I'm shocked at. Wow. Tristana is strong at all virtually points of the game, suppressing some of the other bot laners. I just hope they don't nerf her passive, man. So we're nerfing her ultimate to make snowballing through the level 6 spike less consistent. Wow, and Tristana's ult is known as one of the big burst options early game. Not many ADs can do what she does with her ult early. Let's see what they're doing. So they're just nerfing the base damage. Okay, I think this is fine. And they're nerfing it by a good bit, too. 75 to 25? Oof. So Tristana is not going to be one-shotting nearly as much. Which not even one-shotting bursting is the right thing to say. But I think this is fine. I think Tristana is a relatively strong AD. She scales very well with the range and everything. Losing the ult damage sucks, but it's alright. She's okay. What the fuck are they doing to fucking Xerath? Holy shit. So they adjusted Xerath the last patch to buff him mid and nerf him support, which usually doesn't happen correctly, and they even didn't do it right. Both landed slightly win rate negative despite intending mid to be buffed. So now they're going back and they're changing it. So the cooldown reduction on kill is, I guess, higher. Interesting. Additionally, adding some powerbacks, there's base dash. So does that include last hitting? I'm pretty sure that includes last hitting. But either way, going forward, his Q is getting a little bit of a damage bump by 5. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Man, Xerath is a little bit better mid, but he's the same. Again, if you like Xerath, maybe play Quay. And now on to Zeri. Zeri sucks. I'm going to be honest. Zeri, I think, and this is so ironic to me, too. I really liked Zeri. When Zeri first came out, I hated her. I hated her idea, but it's because I knocked it before I tried it. Once I actually played Zeri, I thought she was such a good breath of fresh air to the bot lane. It was finally, and it was OP. I will say it was strong. But why can't we have something strong, man? This is where a perfectly balanced game is unfun. But either way, Zeri was ridiculous, though. Either way, though, this is where Zeri was such a good breath of fresh air, because she was an AD that wasn't squishy. Yeah, she didn't put out crazy amounts of damage, but she was like a sustained AD, where she just lasted so long in the fight, she would outperform other ADs, because they'd probably be dead. But this is where I thought Zeri was so fun. She was so good. Her build was such a new experience for an ADC player, even though I play every other role too. But man, they just hated that shit. They nerfed her. They pushed her towards crit. Crit feels like shit. She feels like shit. It's terrible. So what are they doing? Her ult is getting buffed into giving her more damage on the ult. Or no, sorry, more damage on the chain lightning. Even though she's fallen out of the meta, we're giving her a shot in the arm, reducing her high-powered team fights. I really don't feel like this is going to help her at all. Like it's a buff, sure, but man, this really is just going to feel like shit, and you're not even going to notice it, I feel like. This is ass. Anyway, moving on to Yone. So, I forgot if they did all of the buffs between Yone and Yasuo, but he's been getting buffed. So, and I think the buffs aren't anything to completely forget about it. Even though they did take away the 10% penalty on his crits, he does gain extra damage from his crits as well if he overcaps. So let's see what they're doing to Yone. If they're doing it to Yone, maybe they might do it to Yasuo, although I doubt it because Yasuo would have been first. So let's see. We expected last patch to buff Yone, but based on how it went for Yasuo, we expected much smaller impact. As a result, we're throwing in a small Yone nerf. Oh! The intent of this nerf is to make him more reliant on his auto attack uptime. What? So what are they doing? They're nerfing the W. What the fuck is auto attack uptime? What? They're nerfing the W from 14% to 12%. Ooh. So they're nerfing the max health. I mean, it's a percent of difference. I think it does matter, but as long as they don't touch the shield, it's I don't think, again, this is like almost forgettable. If they do it anymore, well, it's actually 2%. It's not even 1%, but ooh, if they do it anymore, maybe. We're getting into dangerous territory, though, but I'm sure Yone is still fine. A little worse. Yorick! Let's see what they're doing with Yorick. So again, similar to Gwen, I haven't had a chance to play both of them being quote-unquote new, which I'm sad about, but let's see what they're doing. While last patch's Yorick update was largely successful, it also managed to singly skew him towards the jungle, where he's really overperforming. Wow, Yorick jungle. Never would have thought I saw the day. This follow patch intends to give us better jungle versus lane levers so we could tune him for separate roles more effectively. So I don't know if that means they don't want him to jungle at all, but for some reason they like to just switch people for no good reason. Like Brand, right? Oh, he's a jungler now. Oh, he's too good. Now he's a mid. Oh, he's too good. Now he's a bot. Okay, now he's too good there. Back to jungle. It's like I feel like we're playing fucking musical chairs at a certain point. Either way, though, the monster damage taken is now higher. The damage to monsters is a little higher as well. So it's not completely getting rid of it yet, I hope. The E is now going back to max HP, which is great. I think it was originally current HP, but I don't remember. It could have been max, so they're bringing it back, I think. So there's a damage cap on the monsters, which is sad, but now I guess this is better for in lane. And then new minion laning minimum damage is apparent. Cool. Okay, overall I think his E is better for lane. Maybe not as good for jungle, but it is what it is. And now R, Eulogy of the Isles. Oh. Oh, this might be a big nerf. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. If his R, because every time he hits you when the maiden's sucking you, it does percent max health. Based on how fast he autos you. It's no cooldown. It used to be on a cooldown, but they took that away. Ooh, this might be terrible. The fact that it only affects champions and not even epic monsters, either like Baron or Dragon. Damn, this actually blows some hot wiener. Ooh, I don't know if I like that. Wow. They could have just put a cap on it, but no. If I'm understanding her correctly, I feel like this is terrible. Zoe. I feel like Zoe's problem is she's too single target. She was really OP when she first came out, especially because she would just steal people's spells if they used them and then just spam them. But I feel like they nerfed her enough / enough other bullshit came out where she's really not that impressive anymore. The bubble's really the main thing, and if you miss that, it's kind of like Blitzcrank where it's like you're useless. So let's see what they're doing. So they want to give her more wave clear. Let's see. They're removing the damage reduction after the fall off to secondary targets, so that's pretty good. So yeah, they're helping with her wave clear, but this will help in fringe scenarios where I guess people are trying to block the Q. It'll do, I guess, overall more damage. I forgot what the damage fall off was, though. But, hey, Zoe's a little bit better. Who knows how big, because they're not giving numbers, but still. Yumi! They keep touching the fucking pussy. Like, bruh, do they want her good? Do they want her bad? Who knows? But let's take a look. Yumi has risen up as one of the best supports recently, which I don't know how. I feel like she's literally so much worse than what she used to be. She's also harder, too, but this makes me question, what the fuck are the other supports doing? I feel like the bot lane is just a hot mess, man. Now, I don't know, because, again, I haven't played in a hot minute, but just from, like, thinking about these changes, it's like, what the fuck? In higher skill brackets, she's a little too dominant in the very early laning phase. Yumi is very dominant. That's crazy. We're tapping on her super early outputs, so they probably have to nerf Q. What else could she be OP with? To retain her weak laning identity, relying on scaling up. Basically, the same thing happens, and this is where they're really punishing you for playing Yumi, and I feel like this sucks, right? The main thing with Yumi, well, the first thing is, whenever I look at her, I just hate the fact that she has those eyelashes, or those eyebrows. Those eyebrows to me look so fucking stupid and weird. But regardless, aside from her weird-ass fucking eyebrows, which I don't think fit her at all, this is where you are incentivized based on your passive. Your passive, they basically made it like a jail, where what used to happen was if you picked Yuumi, you basically forsook your ADC, and then you just sucked off either the jungler, the mid, or the top, whoever did better. But they didn't like that the ADC was getting shafted, and Yuumi was really good back then too. So they made it so now you have to attach to someone, and the person you attach to the longest gets, I guess, more of a buff. So they incentivize you to stay bot. But if they're nerfing her early game, I already feel like you're sacking the early game with Yuumi in general. Again, I don't know if that's still accurate, but I feel like the early game being ass with her is so ass because you're laning with like 1.5 people, not even 2. Like Yuumi is so hard to play with, especially in just pubs, man. It is horrible. I feel like Yumi's just a horrible early game champion in general. But apparently she's too good, so what are they doing? They're nerfing the heal by 5. Wow. And then the Zoomies is going down in shield value by 15. Bruh, she can't be this bad. There's no way she can't be this fucking bad. Anyway, that's all the champion changes. Let's move on to the items. Crypt Bloom. So, Crypt Bloom is weird because I never understood the reason of why you would need healing. I feel like it's not enough to matter. Like, Redemption was good, right? And if this was a support item, which I think at some point it might be, but it's not. It's a mage item. But maybe down the line they can make it a support item. But it doesn't make sense why a mage would build this. I feel like it's just not good. Unless you just don't need pen and don't want more damage. I don't understand the meaning for this item except for some penetration. Excuse me. By the way, and you can see Crypt Bloom has fallen completely behind Void Staff. Why? Because what matters? Not your fucking team, your damage. I like this comparison to be fairer. As a result, we're delivering a light buff to Crypt Bloom. So it's giving more ability haste. Unless they give it a lot more, I think it's still not too appealing. Just because... I gotta see, is the penetration different or similar? Let me actually see. League of Legends. Let's do some investigative journalism here. Crypt Bloom. Because Void Staff gives you percentage pen. What does Crypt Bloom give you? It gives you plus 30% magic pen, and then Void Staff gives you how much? Void Staff gives you 40%. So it gives you 10 extra. And it gives you 95 AP. This gives you 60 AP. Yeah, so Void Staff, as always, is going to give you more. Again, the unique active, or technically passive, where you heal people, that's all nice and dandy, but that's more supportive than anything. I don't think people should be buying this thing to try and be supportive. So, you know, it's very weird. It's very odd what they're trying to do here. Anyway, moving forward, I think this item's still success. So, then we go to Dead Man's Plate. So, Dead Man's Plate, I think, is an overall good item. I think it used to be more of a damaging item when it first released, but they really nerfed that. You know, you do notice the damage a little bit, but it's more for the utility of gaining move speed and being tanky. The damage doesn't really matter. Although, I think they took it away too, but I don't fully remember. Slow resistance stat on Dead Man's Plate has been too effective at covering a few champions. I didn't even know it had this shit, I'm gonna be honest. Wow. So apparently it's too strong, which I could probably agree in. I think there's a lot of, I don't say a lot of tenacity, but CC should be a little bit stronger, maybe. Which is fine. Cool. So this is slightly better. Opportunity! I feel like no one uses this bullshit. And you know why? The amount it gives feels like so ass. Now, it's probably a very early game item. Well, actually, no, it's not, because they changed lethality, actually. So, either way, I just think the numbers it gives are kind of just dookie. But, you know, on the passive. But let's read it. So, opportunity is dropped in popularity over time and can use a buff to make it a more competitive option in the lethality item space. We're lowering the passive lethality gain on the range split, so range users don't benefit quite as much. Ranged always gets fucked, man. So the base lethality is going up, and now, after being out of combat, you gain even less for range, but it's by 2. Again, these numbers feel so small. Now, unless lethality is really that good of a stat, and the earlier in the game it is, the better it is, but I feel like once they changed lethality from scaling to flat, I thought it was going to be a big buff, but it really didn't do as much as I thought. This is why I still think assassins are just getting shafted. And I'm saying that as an ADC player, too. Again, one that hasn't played in a while, but either way. This is, I guess, slightly better. Not anything crazy from what I know. And then we have Overlord's Blood Mail. So Overlord has been fine, but not exceptionally powerful. For most of its lifetime, looking to buff into position, blah, blah, blah. I feel like not many people even build this shit. Like, I feel like just stat-wise and just the way, like, you know, when I look at what it gives, it doesn't look appealing to me. I like armor and MR. Now, eventually, you get diminishing returns with those, right? If you're Ornn, you have a lot of armor and MR, I don't think you're going to build this. So this is kind of like a bruiser-esque item. It's not for straight tanks. But aside from Set and maybe Mundo, I don't know who the fuck else you would build this on. Because I would want more armor and MR than anything, although this does give some damage. But let's see. Let's see what they're doing. So, Tyranny. Bonus AD equal to 2% is now going to 2.5. Okay, decent buff, especially for maybe people like Scion. And then 0 to 12% missing health equals bonus AD. Or sorry, 0 to 12% bonus AD based on missing health. I said that completely wrong. Overall, it's slightly better. I mean, if they're saying it's doing okay, it's probably doing fine, but I don't know. It just is any item that just gives straight health and almost nothing else. It's just not appealing to me too much, but either way, slightly better. ARAM! I'm not going to look at this too much, but the Belveth coil duration increased. Ooh, wait, what are they saying here, actually? Let me see. We're reassessing some poke champions who were previously over-nerfed. We to bring some of their identity, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. Everything here doesn't matter except Belveth. Nice. And then Arena, we have some changes. Ooh. Oh, wow, Garen's getting buffed. Wow, holy shit. Neferi is getting buffed too. Wow. Wow, look at all that. And then Augments and my axe. This is one of the ones you unlock, by the way. But yeah, nothing really crazy. We're not going to go over this. Which is ironically enough the one I play more, so I probably should. But either way. Voting phase was reduced because this lasted forever. Swing guest of honor Ravens granted while on a buy increased from 6 to 8. I guess that's when you don't get matched with anyone. Either way, bug fixes, cool, skin updates. Grand Reckoner Slam fucking sucked. So they improved it a little bit. And also with Talon skin sucks too. And then finally we have Sanuzal Mord coming out. So, what are they doing? If you haven't seen, I actually think they did make the skin better, but you know, it always is going to bring in the question of gacha. And I could talk about this for a long time, but I'm trying to keep this short. So let's see. He'll be arriving in the Sanctum in 25.08. There are a few bits of polish still on their way. They're cleaning up some unintended VFX when Viego is possessing him. They're ensuring the form's VO filter to trigger properly. They're ensuring SFX now behaves correctly. Making sure the proper home guard VFX appears. And no unintended VFX far visible when two Mordekaisers stack their ult. Wow. So yeah, overall, let me talk about it at the end because we're right here. Let me see what else they did. Bug fixes, who cares? Okay. Blue Essence Emporium is still out, so get it while it's hot. It's going away soon. And finally, we go to the skins. So now let's talk about Sanuzal Mord. From what it was to what it is now, I think it's a lot better. I think for sure it's a lot better. Is it $250 worth? IMO, no. This should have been an ultimate. This should have been an ultimate skin, but we don't live in that era anymore. Ultimates are lackluster, and then exalted skins are sadly what should be, I think, the base value of some ultimates, not all of them. But this is where it's definitely better. I don't know if it's good enough. But the biggest thing I don't like is in his third form, and this is just, again, an overall problem with Mordekaiser in general. Like, this goes even past the skin. I wish they would just improve him from the lore perspective with his gameplay, with his ult. Because when you're in the ult, you have the special form. You have, like, a new black form. And I wish I could show it here, but I don't feel like getting it. I'm too lazy. But this is where his ult form is really cool. And it lasts until the enemy respawns if you kill them. But after that, you go back to the second form. Which, again, does look better. And there's actual progression to this skin now. It looks a lot better than just the hammer fucking changing. But still, I don't know, man. At that point, you might as well still get Project. I think Project still is pretty good compared to this. But, you know, it is what it is. Gotcha's here, for better for worse. And ultimately, it's ultimately cosmetic, so whatever. But either way, after that, we have Victorious CF. So kind of what I said before, I think these skins are largely devalued now. Because, again, with all the other stuff that Riot seems to be pushing, overall, the quality is all over the place. And a lot of people praised Cat in the Box Shaco from, I believe it was last patch. But there's a guy on YouTube who critically sat down and saw this shit, and he was like, listen, we're all praising this because the previous legendary, the Xayah skin, was absolute fucking monkey hot garbage. But this skin isn't that good either compared to some of the legendaries we've received and the quality we should expect. This is where, even though the Shaco one's good and thematically I think it's genius and works perfectly, it has some missing animations, some missing like stuff that is just natural to other things that it's really sad that it's not there. But either way, I think because of that, Riot really doesn't care about free skins. Victorious TF, it's better than what was in the back of the day, and I won't know fully until I see the end game. But this is where I think it's a cool look if you're gold, if you're free to play, it's all right. But Splash looks cool, but they're definitely going for a certain vibe. I don't really care about the Victorious skin line anymore. I thought it was a really cool thing. Again, when I was younger, now that I'm older, I really don't give a shit. But this is where it's whatever. Then we have the new skin line, Fatebreaker. I believe this is fully new. We have Taric, Mal's, and Nasus. Taric has a good amount of skins. Mal's, I think, hasn't got one for a while, but he has a decent amount. And then Nasus is getting one. Overall, I don't know what the fuck this is supposed to be. This looks like some Arabian Nights bullshit. And I do like the people it's given to. Obviously, I need to see the end game, but this skin line looks kind of cool. I don't think it's going to be too popular. I'd be surprised if they make more of these anytime soon. But damn, this shit looks fucking cool. I like it. It's like Arabian Nights for real. And then we have the Chroma so we can see a little bit of the end game. The Malzahar one just looks like Desert Malz. Victorious TF kind of looks like shit. Nasus is pretty interesting. It looks like almost like Crystal Nasus. It's very interesting. And then we have Taric, who I think looks kind of cool. Again, this skin line is not bad. Then we have new chromas for Samira, Elise, all these random things. Battle Bunny Prime Riven, wow. And Grand Reckoning Draven. Cool. But overall, that's going to be the patch. Not bad. Not bad at all. Nothing crazy, though. Nothing surprising me, except maybe the anti-buffs. The anti-buffs are pretty big. Again, sadly, and I'm probably just going to give this one, I would say, like... what should I give this one? 5.5 out of 10 Mark Merrills. I don't know how big these changes are and how much they're changing because I haven't been in touch with League, but... hopefully that'll change. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe I'll stop doing these. Who knows? But 5.5 out of 10 doesn't seem like anything too negative here, except like 1 or 2 dumb changes. But overall, we'll leave it at that. Hope everyone enjoyed, and hope to see you for the next one, or not. We'll see.